Hello, everybody. The last 1 month has been a very exciting time for those following Bengal politics. First, the BJP staged a sensational upset by defeating the formidable Mamata Banerjee and her Trinamool Congress, which had ruled the state for 15 years. And then less than a month later, Mamata herself has found herself in a position where she seems to be losing control over the very party she had founded 28 years ago. 60 out of the 80 Trinamool MLAs staged a coup in the state assembly and announced themselves as the main opposition party, with a new leader of the opposition, Ritabrata Banerjee, who you may remember to be formerly of the CPIM. However, they maintained that they were not forming a separate party and that this was the original Trinamool Legislative Party, and they appealed to Mamata to be their advisor, mind you, not their leader. We have with us former bureaucrat and also former Trinamool Rajya Sabha member Jawhar Sircar. It may be recalled that Mr. Sircar had quit the party in protest following the gruesome rape and murder of an in-house doctor in the RG Kaur Medical College and Hospital in August 2024. But he has had the opportunity to closely examine the functioning of the party, and he will talk to us about what is going on right now. Welcome, Mr. Sircar. Now, you have been one both as a bureaucrat and as a politician. You've never been one to mince your words. You have criticized the party while you were still a member of its Rajya Sabha, and you have criticized the government, the central government, time and again. So you've seen how the BJP works and you've seen how the Trinamool works. Were you expecting this to happen soon after the elections? That Mamata would be in a position where she would stand to lose not just the state, but her entire party, but her...
I was not expecting this sort of a thing to happen so fast, but from the style in which the Trinamool Congress has been built up around a person and stuck together, not so much by ideology, but by a desire to possess power, a desire to possess wealth. So it's an artificial cement, and this was bound to sort of break down once one of the factors moved away. So the moment power moved away and the capacity to, let us say, enrich oneself moved away, these people would not stick together. I'm putting it a little differently. So that it would be imploding in some manner or the other. And we had been warning. What you say was criticizing was actually forewarning the party, forewarning the leader that this is what may be coming. And in the interest of a struggle against another autocratic force, she is a force to reckon with. I mean, she was a force to reckon with. So it was incumbent upon us who had joined her as MP at her request to tell her where things were going wrong.
So clearly she did not heed much to the warnings that were being sent to her. She didn't pay much heed to them, did she?
Well, before me, another MP who was a very famous singer, Kabir Suman, had issued similar warnings. But the party's culture was one of total compliance and total looking up to the leadership and no dissent. This no dissent, because any dissenter would be looked upon with suspicion that he or she is in groupism, maybe factionalism, maybe trying to break it. So there was some sort of a fear factor, some sort of an adherence factor for which other members would speak in private, one-to-one, but never come out openly. Since Kabir Suman was an established personality, he had no reason to be hanging around there. I was not a party man. I was a spokesperson, if I may put it, engaged by them, and I had no reason to be with them if they are not going to listen to me. So that's why one had to move away. Others, many of whose existence depends upon their position in the party and the position of the party in power, these two positions would hang around despite humiliation, despite not being listened to.
Now, one thing we've seen is that there's been a section of the rebel bloc that has already said that no, they want to continue with Mamata as the leader, even though Ritabrata had recently said that she would be, he would request her to be the chief advisor to them. The main anger doesn't seem to be so much on Mamata still as it seems to be on Abhishek Banerjee. Uh, and this seems to be a revolt against Abhishek rather than on Mamata. What would you say?
Yes, that's largely true. Largely true within the party and outside it. The outside it is an angle that nobody is looking at. Remember, Shubhendu Adhikari was thrown out of the party by Abhishek. Shubhendu was a good number 2, number 3 within the party and pretty indispensable. But once, so was Mukul Roy. But once Abhishek came in, he found nobody was indispensable. And he made sure that they felt uncomfortable. So both of them left. Now, Shubhendu coming to power meant that the first score he would settle is with Abhishek. So in a way, whether Shubhendu pretends that he knows nothing about it, it's an internal revolt or all that, he must be chuckling his way all the way to the Legislative Assembly because he's got his revenge. B, within the party, there was a lot of rumbling about Abhishek because Abhishek was following a corporate computer model through which he was trying to govern the TMC based on his knowledge within the computerized setup, based on his knowledge of a parallel TMC. This parallel TMC was once a consulting organization, but now a full-time group of youngsters posted everywhere, who were his eyes, his ears, his recommenders and all that. So a person who has risen up the party ranks, fought the police, fought other parties, wouldn't like to be told by a 25-year-old guy that my computer says this, so you do it. So there was this rumbling about Abhishek's sudden entry. In fact, it's the only person, every party has Sanjay Gandhis. One Sanjay Gandhi died in a plane crash. But every party has Sanjay Gandhi. Remember my words? So Abhishek as a Sanjay Gandhi phenomenon was getting a bit too much. But as I said, more than Abhishek getting too much and more than the MPs sort of venting their anger on Abhishek only, is that silent blessing of Shubhendu who's settling his course.
So it's very interesting you say that, like, that this is Shubhendu's revenge, act of vengeance. Given that just about a week, 10 days earlier, there was a photograph that, there was a news photograph that showed Ritabrata Banerjee meeting Shubhendu in New Delhi, and which kind of set the tongues wagging that is Ritabrata joining the BJP. And then soon later, that was of course denied by Ritabrata, and then later we see suddenly Ritabrata and the other man turning whistleblowers and turning against the party by talking about the forged signatures. And within days, like, they've said, so do you think they've said this new parallel bloc, let's say, that's taken away all the power from Mamata? So do you think this is the BJP is behind it? Are you insinuating there is BJP's hand behind this? Have they organized?
A part of the BJP, perhaps closer to Shubhendu. Remember, BJP is now a multi-group organization. It is no more a byproduct of the RSS. There are RSS types like the former president, the Dilip Ghosh and Shukanta Majumdar. They are RSS persons, hardcore. Then there are hardcore BJP who have been part of the BJP without being RSS. So these are the two groups, and then ABVP types and all that. These are hardcore Sanghis. Now the Sanghis started taking non-Sanghis, defectors, I'm putting them quite bluntly, like Himanta Biswa Sarma, or even the UP Chief Minister is not a Khandani RSS Sanghi. He comes from another organization. They started taking, so within the group, the president, Shomik, who comes from the original BJP, has made it very clear that we don't want any TMC defectors. That's a warning not only to the TMC MLAs, but also to others, maybe even to the chief minister, that don't bring them here. We don't need their numbers. So if they don't want them, and these persons are out of power, but need power, and more than power, need protection. Protection from what? Protection or immunity from action by the new government, which is almost expected and inevitable. Many of them have done acts worth inviting criminal charges. So it was very easy to go in. A number of them have already been sort of charged with it. The number can go on increasing. So there is this mortal fright among people who, as I said, are stuck together with position, power, and earnings. Now, what happens to us? If we are really in the opposition and they go after us, half of us will be in jail. So best is to come out with an insurance policy. So I call it Bima TMC. This is the Bima TMC.
So it's in other words, it's a surrender to protect their own interests and to protect their own hide.
More or less. I've been a little more candid than necessary, but more or less that sums up the whole game. That 60 of them are now, 50 or 60 of them are now, and maybe more will also join in. Who has stayed back with Mamata? She has a hardcore group of supporters that is also seasonal. The first group that came with her 15 years ago is no more there. But whatever, we have a hard group. They haven't budged so far. Among them are people who made the party. Among them are people, careerists from other professions like quizzing and all that, who have come in on the side to be in power, to make...
Derek O'Brien. And
quizzing just came to my mind. It just came to my mind. He's a good fellow. But they came in, this was a career to them. That career which they left wasn't doing so well. So those who had no other careers, whose entire familiarity with the people lay in their power within the party, how can they leave it? And anyway, Ritabrata and his lot won't even take them. They are supposed to be the loyalists. So they don't have any place to go. Of course, there are stalwarts like Shohandev Chattopadhyay, very respected people who have been with Mamata all through. And that is the case of an honorable man. There are some honorable men also there. I mean, it's unfair to tar all of them. But there are some who have no other place to go. So they are with her. So this is the position now that more than 2/3 have switched. So it can't be a defection. So people are comparing with Operation Lotus and all that. That's a lot of... Operation Lotus was greasy with money, luxurious guest houses, etc., because they needed to fell the government and then through the step 2 come into power. They had to, people say, they had to buy them up. Here there is no question of buying them up. Here this lot is coming to them and saying, please, can we come under your portico shade? Since the door is closed, can we come under your portico shade? So that's it.
So what we are seeing here is that we have a party in power which also is maybe controlling the opposition, because the opposition, as you said, is asking to be under its portico shade?
Well, the largest section of the so-called opposition, that the people, I remember the people voted for them as opposition. They didn't vote for them as add-ons to the BJP. So they must also remember that. But they know that people would listen to them if they could give them something. Being in the opposition, they could give nothing to the people. But being in this halfway house, half proposition, half opposition, they may be able to give. So they're banking on that. They're banking not only on their own protection, but their own delivery mechanism. So that's another reason that they need delivery, which is the reason why most of them are attending those administrative meetings.
Now we see there's this thing about, is Mamata in control of her party? The people that, the party that the legislative party that Mamata was the head of is no longer. The person who she has expelled has become the head of the Trinamool legislative party. And they're claiming to be the Trinamool party. Yet, for so long, Mamata and Trinamool are synonymous. I mean, when we talk about Trinamool, we immediately talk about Mamata in Indian politics. How viable is it for Trinamool Congress, led by the likes of Ritabrata and the others, and Javed Khan and others, for it to have the same kind of appeal that Mamata had when she was with the Trinamool?
They're not bothered about it. They don't have a single leader who has the mass appeal of Mamata Banerjee. They don't have. Javed Khan is a man who was responsible, who's said to be responsible for those illegal buildings that were smashed up by this government on the first day. Tiljala. So we know. Now, they, as I said, they all have interests. They all have economic stuff going on here and there. Mamata is the founder of the TMC. Okay? Now, but regional parties all have a founder. She is the first generation founder, remember. TDP of Naidu was founded by his father-in-law. DMK was founded before them, before the President Stalin and others, much before. So it's now in the third generation. TDP is in the second generation regional party. Okay, that goes for the TRS or VRS or whatever they call themselves, the second generation. Mamata is first generation. So that association with the party and every member is much more organic, much more organic. But she knew all along that she has got matlabis, people with a lot of ambition, people with fickle loyalties. She knew it all through, because she herself has changed her so-called party cabinet every now and then. If I remember, because I was the chief electoral officer when she signed her party, and the first election she contested was in 1998. Parliament elections. I happened to be the CEO of West Bengal, so I saw the newest party coming in, hardly any flags, hardly any money. And then she contested the next one also. I just happened to be there. So I've seen them. The lot that came with her those days, only one has survived. That is Bakshi. So the first lot that came with her have either died or have been expelled. Pankaj Banerjee was one of her right-hand men. She threw out Pankaj Banerjee. So she has also brought in generational change. Today, another new generation says, we are the Trinamool and you may be our founder. So be some sort of a spiritual leader. That sort of thing. It's tragic, it's ironic, but it's the way that they have been taught.
But Ritabrata just joined the party barely 4 years ago. I mean, 5 years ago.
5 years ago. And Subhendu joined the BJP 6 years ago. 6 years ago. So 5 and 6 and this
More or less the same time,
more 5 and 6. I mean, if you know what you're up to, these things don't matter. Ritabrata was somebody who knew his way around Delhi, Calcutta, has, let us say, skills of organizing, if one may say, maneuvering, manipulating, whatever you say. And he knew, he played upon the common fear that all of them, especially after Shubhendu targeted Javed Khan for his house. And he started targeting, let us say, Arup Bishwas. He started targeting that fire minister, Sudip Bose. So once he started targeting, everybody said the next target will be me. How do I buy an insurance policy? Anybody know LIC? So he said, Main hu na. So that sort of thing has happened.
So he's more like a go-between.
More like an organizer. You see, but you can't accuse him of any. I mean, to be accusing him of the greatest sin of betrayal and all that doesn't operate in politics.
Do you think they have a political future?
Only history will say. Right now, they are busy shading themselves from the hailstorm, firestorm, by standing under a portico. Now, who will emerge in what right and what movement will be thrown up and who will take a position on what issue, only history will say. But right now, they are not defectors in the technical sense of the term. They are a group that has broken off for self-protection.
Do you think Mamata has a future?
I can't wash her off like most people are, because I saw her being expelled in 1997 from the Netaji Indoor Stadium Congress meeting. I saw in early 98 when she founded the small party, and everybody sort of said, nothing, nothing, nothing. She's only 5% of the Congress. She became not only 5%, she became 95% of the Congress, and she ate up her mother, the Congress.
Yeah.
What she's capable of, now, she's now 71. So that factor is also there, and nobody wants to see that Baipo, Abhishek. So he has to operate now behind shades. He can't be, putting his finger up on every bus and everything. That's not going to work. So Mamata is, the last couple of days, she's getting her batteries recharged. And you never know what she will be up to. As I always said, Mamata in the opposition, which I have seen for at least 15 years, 15 years from 97, 98 to 2011, I've seen her in the opposition. Can be quite this thing. Where I was on the other side of the fence. My job was to maintain law and order at times, and therefore I know whom I'm dealing with, and others of the Calcutta police also knew who they are dealing with. You never know what she's up to.
But that Mamata of the opposition didn't have the baggage of corruption, of all these other things that now she's saddled with.
She herself is not saddled with corruption charge.
I mean, her government.
Her band. And that's one of the critical mistakes she has done in the model of that party. Most parties have a centralized model. She also has a centralized political command model. When the economic model was concerned, it was decentralized. So people came in and knew that if you hung around there and shouted slogans and block trams and things like that, within 5 years, if I can raise myself, then I can also raise funds, starting innocently with pujas on the streets and then moving further up. I can have my own syndicate, that sort of thing.
And the fact that she always deferred to the will of her nephew and never really challenged it and let go of the. Did you, when you were the Rajya Sabha member, when you were in the party, and this is, let's say, you quit in 2024. This is towards the end of the last stretch of Mamata's
I
reign.
joined in the last stretch also.
You joined and you quit at the
I
last
was
stretch.
invited after the massive victory in
after
2021.
21.
2021, she was taken to be the top numero uno of. She created the India bloc. She went to Meghalaya. She went to Tripura. She went to Gujarat, not Gujarat, that Goa and all that. She was putting her presence. That's the time when Mamata was numero uno in Indian politics. And then she says, please come and join me. That's the time I went.
Yes.
By the next year, when this fellow Chatterjee, the education minister, Partho was caught. Partho Chatterjee was caught with a mountain of pink-looking cash and a good-looking friend. I was the first one to say. So it was 11 months after my entry that I made public statement that you can't be associated with such rotters. And I was speaking as a person from a society that I know. And that's a time when it's all there in electronic record when Saugata Roy said, throw him out of the party. And you remember my reply? I said, how could you throw me out of the party? I never joined your party. I was a visiting professor. I'm a visiting professor. So don't get too cracky on me. But anyway, that aside, so one could be pointing out from 21, 22, 23, and 24, I said, enough is enough.
But did you feel at that time that she was losing control over the party, and that, like, she was handing over the reins?
She had this binary going on with the nephew. At times, she made statements, who or what is IPAC, 5-pack.
Yeah.
At times, she sort of distanced the nephew completely. They were not on talking terms. And the pigeon between the two who was carrying messages in his teeth was Derek O'Brien. He was shuttling with his Adidas shoes from this house to that house. Once going and sitting next to Abhishek for that Diamond Harbour Cup, whatever that meant, and then coming to Didi and said, Abhishek is not so bad. So that sort of thing was going on. And then again you found when people were sort of rumbling, I want them. Blood is thicker than water. Blood is thicker than water. So it's been a very complex relationship between the two of them. Sometimes she was annoyed, then she looked back and said, oh my empire, who do I bequeath my empire, etc. So she had, but in the last stage, that is last 1.5 years, from the panchayat election, she handed over everything to Abhishek. And then you got the Abhishek effect. The panchayat, steamroller, violence, money power, all the criticism, and then the 24 elections, which they swept, So she thought that this person would be making it. But 24 was an election where Narendra Modi was cornered by everyone. He lost seats in UP. He lost the Ayodhya, Faizabad seat. He almost got cornered in Varanasi. So there was this anti-Narendra Modi wave, which brought him down to a minority. Remember that. In that wave, Bengal participated and gave Trinamool enough seats. So what she thought was nephew's credit, I look as a political science student saying that it is part of the cut Narendra Modi to size phenomenon. Of course, he has bounced back. He has bought up allies. I've used the word bought up allies. He's bought up allies. He's got himself shaped. He is now corroding the other parties.
You see, Mamata before, when she was at the height of her power, when she, as you said, she set up the India Alliance, she called the shots, she had the leverage. Now, when she's this leader who maybe doesn't even have her own party, how much power does she, how much standing you think she will have on the basis of her personality alone, on the basis of her reputation and her stature alone and her history?
India Alliance will not throw her out or misbehave. There are reasons. She has misbehaved in the India Alliance. Whenever it suited her convenience, she did not abide by the India Alliance choice of vice president. She chose her own vice president. She chose her own no confidence resolution. So she has been the one who has caused trouble in the India Alliance, saying, I am number 2. You better listen to me. Don't listen to DMK and all that. So she had one who was teasing them around. Her personal equation with Rahul Gandhi is not good. The chemistry is not good, which is the reason why Rahul Gandhi came and complained during the election. But politics is politics. She is the only stake the India Alliance still had, even with 15, 20 members in Bengal. The left has 2 seats, practically 2, and Congress has 2. So, with 2 and 2, 4 seats, the India Alliance is represented by 4 seats, and 4 and 20 makes 24. So that's still a lot of common sense. Besides, in politics, one really can't predict. You start with Humayun. When he got chucked out of India, he went with a small band to the Safavid Empire in Persia. He came back and reclaimed the empire. The Mughals were back in action. When Bangladesh happened, the small revolutionary government of Bangladesh was practically an India alliance. The government, physical government was that controlled by the Pakistani army. But as politics rolled, it was that small provisional government that was under patronage of the India that became the real government. So politics, these things, the checkerboard keeps changing very fast. And who will they look to? The Indian Alliance can't call Ritabrata and gang after seeing what they are doing. They will be the Trojan horse, so they can't invite them. So it has to be accommodative, but hark, she has to come down, put her feet on the stirrup, and come down from the high horse. She has to come down a bit.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful time.
Thank you.